When you ask $60 million to come into a race for you and then say that somehow you're electable, I think you don't quite understand what electability means. If you need a $60 million crutch, you probably can't be elected on your own terms.
Hey guys, welcome to the show. I hope everybody's doing good today. I want to talk about the race for the Senate in Michigan. It's probably the last chance I'm going to have to talk about this because the primary election for the Democrats is coming up next week, and I wanted to make sure I got to it before the time ran out. This is a very important race, and the Senate majority is literally hanging in the balance for the Democrats in this state. So just to give you a little backstory, we have got, well, at one point we had 4 candidates running for Senate. 1 Democrat on the left, 1 centrist Democrat, 1 right-wing Democrat, and then the far-right Republican guy named Mike Rogers. So whoever wins the Democratic primary for the Senate is going to be facing off against him in November. So the candidate who is representing the left flank of the Democratic Party is Abdul el Sayed.
Does your campaign represent the future of the Democratic Party?
I don't care about the future of the Democratic Party. I care about the future of Michiganders, and our campaign represents that future. We want to get money out of their politics, put money back in folks' pockets, and pass Medicare for all. That's the future Michiganders need and deserve. That's the future we're fighting for. And I think if more politicians stopped thinking about the future of a party and started thinking about the future of the people that they represent, I think we make a lot better decisions, and we might actually find a future that the party needs and deserves.
And he wrote the book with Bernie Sanders on Medicare for All. He's a doctor. His wife is a doctor. I believe his father-in-law is also a doctor. There's a lot of doctors in the family. He did not go into practice. After he graduated, he went into administrative work, and that's where he has been putting most of his focus. Then there's the centrist Democrat who has already danced her way out of our lives. She came into the race last and she danced her way out of our hearts first. She didn't learn the lesson of celebrating other people, not just celebrating yourself. I will say this, the one positive contribution from Mallory McMorrow before she left the race, she did a press release where she says that Haley Stevens votes to thank Trump's ICE Gestapo. 1 year ago today, Congresswoman Haley Stevens voted with nearly all the House Republicans to express gratitude for Trump's ICE. Since that vote, Stevens has accepted contributions from ICE contractors and said what really struck out to her at an ICE facility where a man died was the kindness of the women guards. That's what we need in this woke America. We need more CEO girl bosses, more women war criminals and women Gestapo. That's what's going to fix it. The girl boss thing is one of the things that frustrates me to no end. It's basically saying, look, we can be just as awful and evil as any man. That is not a winning Democratic position. That's just basically saying, I don't need a penis to be a dick. And then there is the right-wing Democrat, a woman named Haley Stevens.
Not hiding anything from voters. I'm not breaking FEC laws. By any stretch of the means. In fact, I'm compliant with FEC laws and, what's gone on here. So yeah, maybe that's something on the...
Just trying to see whether you're
and also,
about
Chad, you know that individual... No, I'm not.
Okay.
No. You're asking me, why would you ask me that question, first of all?
Well, I'm asking because your opponents are going to hanging it as one of their big issues they're going to try to use against you here in the next 3 months.
In paid communications or just when they're out there talking?
Yeah, both, yeah.
And why do you think they're doing that?
Now, I'm sure that you guys have probably heard all about her by now. She has had so many banger clips that have come out in the last couple of months. She has got this real thick Michigander affectation to her. I've been working on my upper Midwest accent. I can't help myself. If I hear somebody long enough, I will imitate their voice just like I do for Donald Trump. I'm going to be doing it for Haley Stevens. The first one that pops to most people's minds is the one where I think it was at Christmas time last year. She gave a speech where she said that
Israel comes to me in my dreams. I see Israel's future, and I know that Israel will continue to exist for the Jewish people.
Oh, it's so good, man. It's so good. And look, I want to say this right up front. I am not supporting Haley Stevens. I want Abdul el Sayed to win because he is the most left candidate. But at the same time, I will miss Haley Stevens when she's gone because she is downright funny, okay? A lot of people have compared her to the Chris Farley character on SNL. You know, the dude that says,
"You're living in a van down by the river."
"In a van down by the river." God, I miss Chris Farley. He was pretty awesome. He was certainly the better brother. Just ask Ford employees how his little brother is doing as CEO of Ford Motor Company. Here's another one where she talks about the Michigan way.
And you better believe I'm going to be doing it with a little bit of joy, a little bit of enthusiasm, a little bit of energy, and a little bit of stick it to them. Because that's the Michigan way.
How can we get back on the right track?
That's the Michigan way. I'm sorry. I don't mean to make fun. I feel kind of like a dick doing this, but God, it's so good. Here she is at a factory. I think she's turning on some water at a plant.
I told you, Dustin, I left. How many turns do I have to do? A lot. Oh, brother.
Whee! And most recently, there's a video of her standing next to Jim Clyburn, which should tell you everything that you need to know about Haley Stevens and her right-wing sensibilities. She is there getting an endorsement from her governor, Gretchen Whitmer.
Okay, some of you have seen, there's those cool kids on the internet. They're doing the cool kid chatter. Some of them might be the coastal elites, making fun of how I talk. Not okay. Not okay, says my governor.
I don't sound jealous at all that I'm not one of the cool kids, but look at me here in my denim jacket. Oh, you betcha. I'm a woman of the people.
There are a couple things that she's known for. Most recently, back in April of last year, she went to the White House, but she was kind of ashamed to have gone to the White House. So there is a picture of her with her face covered up because she saw a camera in there and she didn't want anybody to know that she happened to be in the Oval Office. Anyway, so she's happy to get Gretchen Whitmer's endorsement. And here she is standing next to her CIA compatriot, Alyssa Slotkin. They used to call themselves the Badasses. I believe that also includes the new governor of Virginia, Spamberger, another CIA alum. So there were three, and now there's just two. There's Abdul, who has been endorsed by Bernie Sanders, by AOC, and by Elizabeth Warren.
Everyone knows that this is not an election between her and Abdul el Sayed. This is an election between Abdul and the billionaire class.
This is not an election between Abdul and this Stevens lady. I just want to give you health care, goddammit. God, man, I wish we'd have had Bernie for president. We had 2 shots at it, and we fucked it up twice. Congratulations, Democrats. You really do know how to shoot your own party in the foot, don't you? Then you've got Haley Stevens, who is being endorsed by people like Gretchen Whitmer and a whole bunch of other centrist Dems, not to mention some former conservatives and conservatives themselves. I'm pretty sure that Mike Rogers would much more happily run against somebody who is closer to him because that will give the conservatives in the state a choice between Coke and Diet Coke. And you know how the conservatives always do. They always vote for the Coke. Unless, of course, you're Donald Trump. Bring me a Diet Coke.
Your dad argues that diet soda is good for him because it kills grass. It's poured on grass, so therefore it must kill cancer cells inside the body.
Now, the most important thing to talk about this particular race is the amount of money that has been put into it. This is the largest primary for Senate in American history. AIPAC has put in nearly $47 million into this one Democratic primary. This is not even the general election. And AIPAC is really trying to make an example out of Abdul el Sayed. And they're really hoping that this big trundle bucket of money that they're dumping into this race will actually prove their point and defeat the left-wing candidate, who is currently the only one against AIPAC funding, and he doesn't take any corporate PAC money. And Haley Stevens is doing some tricky bazooky type of deal where she's showing an ad where Obama had endorsed her when she was running for Congress 8 years ago. And she's using this old campaign ad to kind of play off that Obama has endorsed her.
Haley Stevens, she was a critical part of my team that helped the American auto industry come roaring back.
Haley Stevens, a proven fighter for Michigan.
I mean, you could look at the ad and see that she's so much younger than she used to be, and Obama's still got a little bit of pepper in his hair. Nowadays, his hair is white as snow, so obviously that is an old ad. Come on, Barry, what are you doing, man? Why haven't you stepped out in front and said, I don't know what kind of fuckery's going on here, but that ad was like 10 years old. What are we talking about? Come on, girl.
Obama out.
I also want to mention another one of the underhanded things that Haley Stevens did recently. She put out a press release. She was using his letterhead and his font, as if Abdul is the one putting this out. And it says, endorsement alert. Mike Rogers endorses Abdul el Sayed. Rogers, quote, if he wins, I think that we're in good shape. I think we'll do well if he, in fact, is the nominee. Mike Rogers also says that he thinks he has a good shot against Haley Stevens. I don't know what Haley Stevens thinks that she's trying to prove with it, but it's just some underhanded mudslinging bullshit. And I'm not a fan, man. I'm not a fan. But it's not just Democrats who are supporting Haley Stevens. Meghan McCain says if Haley Stevens wins, she is going to jump so fast to a potential VP pick, it will make you yell, stick it to him. Thanks, Meghan McCain, but I don't think that your advice is warranted when it comes to Democratic elections. Why don't you go back and talk about your father a little bit more?
My father, 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 my father. I am John McCain's daughter.
Also, another one of these phrases that I'm hearing over and over again in regards to Haley Stevens is that she's growing on me. What, like a rash? Look, I laugh and I joke, but at the same time, I'm hearing a lot of people say the same phrase over and over again. It kind of makes it seem like there's a coordination going on, and it seems that the powers that be would much rather have a malleable person who is easily bribed by corporations, by energy companies, by healthcare companies, and by AIPAC, rather than have somebody like El Sayed, who is not been bought and paid for, who does not take corporate money, and has not received $1 from AIPAC.
Well, la-di frickin' da!
Now, Abdul is not just taking it from centrist Dems in the political arena, he's also getting it from both barrels from the media, whether it's Fox News slagging him and calling him a Muslim anti-Semite, which he is not, or calling him a communist, which he is not, but also people like Jake Tapper, who is still auditioning for his new role under his new news daddies, Larry and David Ellison, when they take over CNN.
The war with Iran is clearly heating up. 3 U.S. service members, well, 2 were killed and 1 is missing overnight. They were stationed in Jordan. 20 weeks ago, when Iran's supreme leader was killed, you told your staff, according to audio obtained by the Washington Free Beacon, quote,
oh, by the way, Washington Free Beacon, very, very right-wing outlet.
A lot of people in Dearborn who are sad today, so like I just don't want to comment on Khamenei at all, unquote. I thought that quote was interesting because the Ayatollah has killed tens of thousands of innocent Iranians, not to mention the proxies.
He just said that 3 U.S. service members died in this bullshit war of aggression that Donald Trump and Bibi Netanyahu are doing. And his first take is, you didn't say that the Ayatollah was horrible and he deserved to die 20 weeks ago when Donald Trump started this fucking war. Why don't we talk about that instead? And you can see on the look on Abdul's face here that he knows exactly what Jake Tapper's doing here.
That Iran has funded that have killed innocent civilians all over the Middle East. Why were you worried about offending people who support the Ayatollah?
Jake, on a day where we're mourning the loss of 2 more service members in a war we never should have fought,
3,
I think all of us ought to step back and ask whether or not everybody in Michigan, frankly, everybody in America, shouldn't be sad about the fact that this president backed by the prime minister of a foreign government, took us to a war we had no business fighting in. So yeah, I didn't want to comment on it then because it's a ridiculous pretext. And now you're asking me about the Ayatollah, who's dead, by the way, and you're not asking me about the service members who've died. You're not asking me about whether or not this war should have ever been fought. You're not asking me about whether or not the costs that are being borne by Michiganders in the tax dollars we pay or the gas prices that are insane right now are worth it. And so, look, let's have a conversation based in Michigan. I'm running for Senate in Michigan. And I think here in Michigan, all of us are probably sad about the fact that we went to war that we never should have fought. I'd rather our money be spent here.
I was specifically asking you about comments you didn't want to make because you didn't want to offend people in Dearborn, which is in Michigan. Let's turn to immigrants.
Oh, come on. That's some bullshit. Look at him, man. Dude, I can smell a lie like a fart in a car. You trying to catch Abdul out on some bullshit. And you know this. You know this. Anyway, I would be remiss if I didn't do a couple of clips here in the recent debate that they just had. And by the way, a lot of people are commenting on how great a job the moderator did. And I would say that mainstream media like Jake Tapper and Fox News and MSNBC and all those guys, they could probably take a lesson or two on moderating a national debate and actually holding the candidates to their answers. That little gremlin look on her face, man. I'm sorry. I don't mean to be making fun of the woman's aesthetics, but she is a twitchy little Michigander. Anyway, this first clip is about the utilities in Michigan, specifically Detroit, and whether or not either one of the candidates have taken money from those big privately owned power companies.
I do want to get into the weeds a bit with this because I want to ask you a very direct question that so many people ask us. Are these folks getting money from big utility? Congresswoman Haley Stevens, are you taking money for your campaign from DTE or consumers?
No, but let me say this, Roop. I have been transparent. I have been transparent throughout this campaign, and let me just say this, that the only thing that ever motivates my work is the people of Michigan.
By the way, I just want to put this out here. In all of these clips, you will notice very specifically that Haley Stevens, she seems to be allergic to actually answering questions. Just keep that in mind in these next couple of clips.
I hear from. You know, my opponent is on these big podcasts. You know, he's running a podcast himself. These folks are making fun of the way I sound, but yet...
Oh, honey, no. That's not him that's making fun of the way you sound and the way you act. That's me. In fact, he specifically spoke out and said, please don't make fun of the way the woman speaks or looks or acts. Now, whether or not somebody like me is going to do that, that's a completely different story. It's really hard for me to not make fun of somebody who looks and speaks and acts like this woman. That's kind of my milieu over here. So, of course, that is not Abdul's fault. But the fact that she is bought and paid for and she never answers a direct question, that's the issues that I have with her. Her little accent and her affectation are just a funny little bonus for me.
You know, my opponent is on these big podcasts. You know, he's running a podcast himself. These folks are making fun of the way I sound, but yet I sound like the people who need help, who are talking to me about what they need
Congresswoman,
done.
that was a follow-up to ask the direct question, whether you're taking money from utilities or not.
No.
The answer is no. Thank you.
I said no. I said no. Her body is refusing her lie. Oh my God. Well, Abdul has got a good answer for it.
Abdul el Sayed, I'm asking you the same question. Any money from anyone that we don't know about?
No and never, but then $40,000 in direct receipts to her campaign from DTE's corporate PAC. And then there's, I don't know, Center for Democratic Priorities, which released its funders, but then they're behind these shell organizations, these 501c4s. So I'd really like to revisit that question because I don't know how to explain $40,000 directly to her campaign from DTE. I'm the only candidate in this race who's never touched a dime of corporate PAC money.
I mean, she doesn't just take money from DTE. She also takes money from Blue Cross Blue Shield. She also takes money from AIPAC. She also takes money from the United Democracy Project, which is the super PAC for AIPAC. And she also takes money from A Stronger Michigan, which is a dark money super PAC. Both of those she took $15 million and $12 million respectively. All total, it's something like anywhere between $45 and $60 million has been spent in this race. And it ain't going to Abdul. And speaking of AIPAC, in this next clip, The moderator asked them both about the big money that is being poured into this election. Check it out.
Do you see why some people are bothered by the fact that so much money, $40+ million, has come from AIPAC for these PACs to talk about you and to promote you and to put you up as their candidate?
Yeah, and I appreciate the question, Root, because
no, you don't.
This moment in this country and here in Michigan, people have every right to be frustrated about our campaign finance system. My opponent here on this stage, Abdul, he's got a super PAC that his father-in-law funds that has.
What about that $40 million has come to you from AIPAC?
Well, let me talk about this super PAC that Abdul, my friend Abdul, is getting.
Millions of dollars going into it. And look, in terms of foreign policy, you know, Abdul and I do differ. I believe in a two-state solution.
Which is absolute bullshit. It's a non-starter and it will never happen. So that's probably why she believes in it.
Me by name for purporting that the people of Palestine and the people of Israel deserve to live side by side peacefully. The goal is always long-term peace. And also, the Prime Minister of Israel has attacked me by name. They both represent the extremes. Look, Michiganders deserve to see peace, and that is where I have always kept.
Oh my God, man. Look, they're doing this in front of a live studio audience. It's not that many people here, but look at the body language. I mean, look at this dude's face right here. He is giving the stink eye like I ain't never seen. And this dude over here is like rubbing his head. It's like, man, when is this going to end? Look, I'm not a body language expert, and I wouldn't purport to say that we should listen to those. But I mean, I'm kind of looking at these folks, and they don't look very happy with the answers that she's giving.
I vote, and that is the work that I want to do for Michigan and the U.S. Senate.
Specifically about AIPAC money, more than $46 million has been spent on AIPAC spending to back your campaign. A lot of people wonder if that is something where you're going to do their bidding when should you win this seat. Is that something people should be concerned about? And if not, why not?
Absolutely not, Roop. Look, I have been very clear, consistent, and transparent, and I have continued to be. I want to see long-term peace. I want to see a two-state solution. I am deeply proud to represent one of the largest Jewish populations.
AIPAC comes to me in my dreams.
Districts in the country. This is a community that I have grieved alongside, that I've mourned alongside, and have fought to bring the hostages home. And I'm still working to get us to long-term peace.
But no concern about the $46 million+ spent on the behalf of AIPAC.
You see what I mean? This guy will double down on the question because he sees that she's not answering it. And I'm digging this guy. I really am.
Worry people about perhaps you doing their bidding should you win the seat?
Well, I don't think there's much difference between super PACs going in for Abdul or super PACs going in for me. We have a problem with campaign finance reform in this country. I have an A grading from End Citizens United. I have been.
Wait, how can you have an A grading for Ending Citizens United? And meanwhile, you have taken the largest amount of money from AIPAC and other AIPAC affiliates. Those two things don't go together, Sweet Pea. How can you square that circle?
I am trying to get money out of politics, and the best way to do that is to take as much money as I possibly can to win this race.
First, by defend the vote, I have voted consistently, and I'm going to stop Mike Rogers from getting anywhere close to the United States Senate, which is why he doesn't want to run against me, and which is why somebody like Governor Whitmer is supporting me in this race.
Congresswoman Stevens, thank you. I want to give some.
Governor Whitmer. Honey, I don't think that's the flex that you think it is. Recently, she was caught on a hot mic saying something to the effect of, we hear all of our constituents in Michigan say that they don't want AI data centers, and we continue to ignore them. Here, I got a clip for you.
We're used to people saying, no, that's doing it anyway. And he really can live through a winter like you did. And I'm just like, people have a lot of confidence in life.
Seems like a real woman of the people kind of endorsement that you got there, hon. Anyway, let's look past this gremlin and see what Abdul's got to say about this.
How do you see yourself moving forward, should you become a senator here, handling the situation with Iran, Israel, and Hamas?
So I just want to say the difference between us is $46 million of AIPAC spending. They've set a record in this race to help elect my opponent because they know that she'll be a reliable vote, just like she took last week to send your tax dollars to a foreign government that is aiding, arming, and abetting the very people who want to foreclose on the
Okay, now look at this body language. The dude over here on the left, he's got a smile on his face. Their heads are nodding. This dude right here is nodding so hard his body's nodding.
Of Palestinian self-determination. Look, at the end of the day, my job is to take care of you here. I want to be your U.S. Senator. I want your tax dollars spent in Michigan to provide schools in Michigan, to build healthcare in Michigan, to build roads in Michigan. And I think that money sent over there to kill kids and women is the worst use of our tax dollars. And yet, that's exactly what $46 million in spending will buy you. And I believe deeply that we have a responsibility to make sure that we don't make other people's problems worse. So I believe in equal rights to peace, dignity, and self-determination for Palestinians and Jewish Israelis alike. I believe that we should not be fighting stupid wars that AIPAC wants us to fight in the first place. And I believe we have a responsibility to keep our money here, to invest here. That really is the difference. We're being outspent in this race 12-1. Chances are you're going to see an ad, probably 2 of them, on behalf of AIPAC for my opponent in the next commercial break. That's what that buys you, lying about a record around President Obama's endorsement or lying about me and my character. But that's exactly what happens when you stand up and say, maybe Palestinians should have rights too, and maybe we should have rights to our tax dollars here at home.
Dr. El Sayed, I'm going to give Congresswoman a chance to respond as you made a couple of
In this next clip, they're talking about the vitriol that is going on in this primary election. There's a lot of mudslinging going on, mostly done by Haley Stevens funders. But Haley Stevens would probably say that people like me are making fun of the way that she looks and she acts and she sounds, you know, and then she's trying to blame that on Abdul as if that's Abdul's fault. Honey, that's your fault for the way that you look, sound, and act. That's all on you, baby girl. I didn't tell you to act like a little goofball. And I sure as shit didn't tell you to take $46 million of AIPAC money. That's all on you too, sweetheart. But let's get to the vitriol.
Is this something that the ads that you see on television, whether you paid for them or whether someone else paid for them, do you think they're doing an injustice to voters by just filling the room with vitriol and hate and not getting to the issues?
Well, look, there was something else that was revealed in the phone call that Abdul was mentioning, which is that he said that he's not going to be able to get much done, that he's not focused on policy for the first 2 years that he is in the United States Senate, that he's going to be focused on national politics. Again, Michigan needs a workhorse, and I am offering...
We need a workhorse, not a show pony, not a podcast guy that's written books. People in Michigan don't know how to read. What are you talking about? Why are you writing books and being on podcasts talking about health care? I mean, the woman was asked, hey, what's up with all the vitriol coming from the commercials that are coming out for you? Well, let me throw a little bit extra mud here, just so you know that it's not my AIPAC supporters that are doing it, it's me too.
Ideas on day one.
Congressman, respectfully, yes. I do want to answer the question. It's about civility.
It's about civility. Transparent about what is being said here. And look, Abdul's a great guy. He's a great father. You know, only he can account for saying that, you know, Whitmer's bought and paid for, or that, you know, no one cares about Debbie Stabenow, or that Mallory McMorrow isn't smart enough. You know, that is certainly on him to respond to, which we certainly just did hear from him on that.
Can I respond?
Dr. El Sayed, you have a quick minute here.
Look, I told you at the outset that my opponent was going to make this race about me and her. But this is about you. This is about whether or not you deserve a politics of the people, by the people, and for the people, or of the corporations, by the billionaires, and for the special interests. In an effort to talk about civility, I just took another attack. And I just want you to ask yourself, what is it that you deserve from your politics now? Do you deserve a politician more focused on their opponent because they want to be in a seat? Or do you deserve a politics where we're all asking, how do we actually serve you best? Because that's what I'm focused on here in this debate and been focused on for this entire 15-month campaign that we've been running on.
Well, and thank you for clarifying that you didn't call me an ogre.
No, again, for the record, it was Mr. Fetterman that was apparently called an ogre in the call, not you. However...
Come on, girl. You're not an ogre, you're a gremlin. Yeah, I don't know if you guys heard about that, but he said something to the effect of put the ogre in the Senate on a stick or something. I can't remember exactly what he said, but he was referring to John Fetterman. Yeah, he kind of does come off a little bit like an ogre. Anyway, I'm going to move on to this last clip here. It is in regards to ICE, and these days it is a pretty hot button topic.
Congresswoman Stevens, where do you stand on ICE and the funding for ICE and where things should be going?
Well, I am leading the charge in the Congress right now to redirect $70 billion of your tax money, Michiganders' taxpayer money, that went to ICE at the expense of your health care, at the expense of food benefits, all things that I am hearing from Michiganders where they are experiencing pain points. We've got to redirect that $70 billion back into communities. I called for Kristi Noem to go. She was fired. But guess what? No reforms. Not a penny more for this rogue agency.
I mean, girl, you've been in office for a while. What have you done? You didn't have anything to do with Kristi Noem getting fired. Kristi Noem embarrassed the White House, and Donald Trump canned her ass. If she hadn't have done what she done with her flying fuck jet and all those millions spent on that ad campaign and the horse and her hair and all that nonsense, she would still be in office right now. You didn't have jack or shit to do with that.
That is wreaking havoc. Look, I've talked to administrators at Harms Elementary in Detroit, parents who are afraid to drop their kids off for school because of these ICE raids. This isn't working for us. This is abuse of power. And I am standing up to Trump right now on these abuses of power, not shouting into a bullhorn, not getting in front of the first camera I see.
He's a podcast boy.
The hard work.
I'm a workhorse, not a show pony.
My opponent here, Abdul, he is such a talented guy. He's written 3 books. He's had 300 podcasts. He's had all this attention.
Abdul el Sayed is a doctor. He did a medical podcast for a while. Do people have a problem with medical podcasts? Or that he's written some books? I mean, what are we talking about here? Usually we look up to people who write books, not look your nose down on them.
He's a podcast guy. He's a show pony with a microphone and a bullhorn. I'm a workhorse, don't you know?
Deal is we don't need a celebrity candidate. We don't need a celebrity senator. We need somebody who is committed to 6 years of hard, unglamorous work that's going to stand up to this junk.
See what I mean? It's just nothing but platitudes. For God's sakes, give me some fucking policy, woman. What are you going to do about it? Oh, well, we're going to stand here and we're going to work really hard. And we're going to fight against the power and the bad orange man. That's what we're going to do. And I have done that. And over the years, I have done that over and over and over again. Policy. I want to hear policy.
Wreaking havoc and causing chaos right before our very eyes. It's unacceptable.
All right, Congresswoman, thank you. Dr. El Sayed, you heard Congresswoman Stevens there say, essentially, strip away some of the funding for ICE. Is that not good enough?
Well, she's also voted to raise ICE funding 4 times. That's the part that you didn't hear.
No.
4 times voted to raise ICE funding. Voted to thank ICE, in fact.
She did that too.
So this is the same kind of DC hypocrisy, I hate to say it, that we often see. Say one thing in front of a camera, do another thing. I said that we need to abolish ICE. ICE is not about immigration. ICE is not about the southern border. We can have a safe and secure southern border. We can also enforce immigration policy. But ICE is not about that. ICE is about normalizing paramilitary force on our streets. And I just...
Thank you. Thank you for saying that. It's also a rogue agency in that it does not have a governing judicial body. The INS used to answer to a judicial body. ICE answers only to the president. And it is a normalization of having these people on our streets armed to the nines and strapped to the fucking gills. That is what Donald Trump wants. He wants a bunch of masked up, faceless goons out there that will instill fear in your heart. I mean, for God's sakes, I could go off on this shit forever, but we're talking about a paperwork issue. People are in this country with paperwork issues. At best, it's a misdemeanor. But people like Stephen Miller and Donald Trump and all these fascist mofos out there, all they want to do is have a white nation. I'm sorry, I mispronounced that. White nation. Anyway, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt Abdul while he's going off.
Push back on the idea that it's calmed down. I mean, I was just in Genesee County this weekend, and you had raids in Saginaw. People are scared to death, and we've got a congresswoman who tells you that she's against ICE, has voted to raise ICE funding, voted to thank ICE, called the people who work in ICE, I don't know, very fine public servants and other things when she went and visited herself. So I'm just saying that I do the thing that I say I'm going to do. I don't think ICE needs to exist. For the better part of our country's history, we did not have an ICE, and I think we can do a much better job when it comes to immigration without one. And here's the last thing I just want to say about this. When it comes to the question of immigration, we need Democrats who are going to stand up and actually talk about the great good that immigration has done for our country in the first place. The idea that somehow we can't say abolish ICE because we're so afraid of what they're going to say when we've seen ICE terrorize people in our streets, to me, is exactly the kind of cowardice that we don't need from Democrats. So yeah, I'm going to take the bullhorn and I'm going to say that I think we need to abolish ICE because I am not afraid of what they're going to say about me.
I mean, for God's sakes, man, that's good. That's good stuff. And I really appreciate hearing a political candidate say that immigration is good. Normally, the Democratic establishment is running away from that answer. You know, they will say that what Donald Trump is doing is bad, and what Stephen Miller and DHS and Mark Wayne fucking Mullen, what they're doing is bad. They will say that, but they won't ever say that immigration is a good thing. Immigration is a positive thing. It used to be like a normal, everyday American thing that we would say that the melting pot is what makes America great. Bringing in all of these diverse people with all of their diverse ideas and bringing them together and stir it up in a pot, and then the cream rises to the top and the best idea gets out there, as opposed to having some homogeneous population that doesn't know their ass from their goddamn elbow. I live in New York City, and it's one of the more wonderful things in this town is the diversity. The fact that we have a multicultural existence. Every color of the rainbow, every creed, every different language, it all comes together here in the city. And I think that New York City is so much better for that. If it was just a whole bunch of wealthy, self-entitled dipshit Americans, then I don't think that New York City would be as cool as it is. Immigration is good for us. Immigrants pay into Social Security. Immigrants work their butts off, and we don't even offer them a remote possibility of a path to citizenship. We talk about, you need to come over here and you need to assimilate. Okay, well, that's all well and good, but if you never give them a path to citizenship, what is the goddamn point? If they're hanging by a thread at all times, 24/7, 365, with that looming sword of Damocles of ICE at any moment could pop around the corner, snatch you up, throw you in the back of a van, throw you in prison, and then ship you off to the South Sudan or fucking Seacot, that makes a huge ass difference. That is not an existence that's worth living. Oh, you want them to come in the right way? Well, when they do come in the right way, they still get locked up and they still get deported. Now, right after this debate, there was a lot of polling going on, and one of the polls, they asked who won the debate, Stevens or El Sayed, and it was 95% for Abdul. I mean, you saw the clips. I thought it was a goddamn home run. He answered all of the questions very succinctly, and she danced around them. And just to put a little button on that, let's look through the comments just for shits and giggles. Ah, yes, this is the woman who said, "Israel comes to me in my dreams."
In my dreams.
This lady is nuts. She couldn't even answer a simple question. She has the fakest smile. That shit was wild. I can't believe that she agreed to another one of these debates. Yeah, I know, because Abdul clapped her cheeks in the last one pretty damn hard. But to answer this commenter, they probably agreed to 2 debates before the first debate happened. Israel comes to me in my dream. A woman who lies about taking Israel lobby money. No, she didn't lie about it. She says that it is just as bad as the super PAC that Abdul has, that his father gave him some money.
Says my governor.
Stevens doesn't understand that we are all done with who she answers to. Agreed. Nobody is spending $46 million on a candidate without expecting a lot back. Yes, exactly. There is a reason that they are choosing to back you. And although they didn't mention it in the debate, I just wanted to talk about this because I think it's fascinating. All of this is in the backdrop of this new bridge, the Gordie Howe International Bridge, opening up, stretching from Canada into Detroit, Michigan. Up until this point, there had only been one bridge handling all of that traffic, and it was owned by a mega Trump donor, a billionaire oligarch, another one of those asshats. And Donald Trump has been fighting against this opening up for a while. I think they started this project like 10 years ago. It might have been under Obama when the planning for this bridge actually started. And they were planning a big ribbon cutting ceremony that Donald Trump blew off. He says it's because all of the wildfires, we need to get a big air filter to stop all of the smoke that's coming from Canada. Like, dude, man, we have so many fucking wildfires here in America, but whatever. And then to top it off, to, just put a little button on it, a little bow on top, right before they did the ribbon cutting ceremony that he did not attend, he slapped another 50% tariff on Canada. Between Mexico and Canada, those are our closest trading partners and have been our closest allies for years and years. And yet Donald Trump, he cannot get out of his own way, and he can't stop shooting himself in the fucking dick. What a crazy person. Abdul said it in the debate. They are outspending him 12-1, $60 million in a primary race. It's unconscionable. The amount of money that's being spent to fashion our elections should say something to you. It certainly says something to me that the status quo and the politicians who are running us right now are already bought and paid for by corporate America and by foreign entities. And we can't have it anymore. How in the hell are we ever going to have democracy in this country if it's already owned by an oligarch or a foreign government? I'm sorry, honey, that shit doesn't wash. It's not working. Well, it ain't a-working.
Well, it ain't a-working.
I'll tell you that right now. This shit ain't a-working. Anyway, I wanted to end it with this. I think this is actually a pretty interesting clip. They're doing a little Q&A. I think that there are some local community leaders that came over to talk to Haley Stevens. And here she is, with a cup of coffee in her hand. And this guy's name is Ajay Singletary. And as soon as he says the words human rights, she walks off.
Issue, it's a human rights issue.
Yeah, right. So what's your full name?
No matter who wins.
You see what he said? Concerned about human rights. And she's like, yeah, right. Not a good way to talk to one of your potential voters or your constituents, or personally, anybody. I think that is pretty goddamn rude. But anyway, I just want you to hear what this guy has to say, because I think he makes a really valid point.
No matter who loses, because it's not like it's going to go away. I know I sound like a broken record. Those 6-year-olds that I coach here, they're just as precious as the 6-year-olds in Palestine. And it just absolutely breaks my heart when I see limbs missing, children. They're having to play soccer on crutches with no legs, having to live lives. And I feel like my country is directly responsible for those actions, and it needs to stop.
I mean, if that is the sentiment in Michigan from the regular, ordinary voter, then, maybe my hope in humanity has been improved a little bit. Because when we look at what's going on over there in Gaza, in the West Bank, and our elected representatives don't seem to see them as humans, I think that that is a huge problem. Because if you are not willing to stand up against human rights abuses, or genocide, or ethnic cleansing, which all have happened according to every human rights organization on the planet, how are we supposed to know that you're going to stand up for democracy here? If you're not willing to stand up against human rights abuses elsewhere, and especially considering the fact that we fund this shit, then how are we supposed to know that you're going to defend our human rights here in America? If somebody's going to give you a truckload of money and you're just going to go along to get along, then you're not going to be a fighter for democracy or our human rights. This whole election cycle right now is an indictment and a wake-up call to every one of those who want to compromise with the fascist party as opposed to fighting them. They're so busy trying to keep their jobs that they're not doing their jobs. Anyway, the election is coming up on August 4th, I believe. So it's right around the corner. If you are a Michigander or you're living in the Michigan area, I would suggest that you go out there and vote for Abdul over this corporate big money back bitch who answers in platitudes and does not seem to give a good goddamn about anything. Talk about celebrity candidates. Get the fuck out of here, woman. Every last one of these people think that they're some kind of goddamn celebrity.
It's ugly Hollywood is what it is. It's just like they're the stars of their own TV show, but it's just like with really low production values.
Anyway, if you're living in the Michigan area and you care about the future of democracy, I would suggest that you vote for Abdul el Sayed. You don't need more of the same. You don't need another corporate-backed centrist Dem that's not going to do anything for you. They've already been bought and paid for before she even takes office. We can do a hell of a lot better than what we've done. Over the last 10 years, we have watched the orange man bad political tactic fail over and over and over again. I got a crazy idea. How about we try something new? Hey guys, thanks so much for watching. If you like what you saw, please like and subscribe. Keep rocking.